20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Hi, my name is Jason Habercorn. I'm a social studies teacher here at Bell Middle School in this 8th grade STEM program. And our PBL was about Lewis and Clark and the Apollo 11 space program. Who took a bigger risk in the name of science? That was our driving question.
So it was after our first PBL. We were at the copy machine at like 6:30 in the morning. And we were talking about our next units. And Jason had said, well, we're doing Lewis and Clark. And I said, well, we're getting into our space unit, and I really want to do something with space exploration.
Shanna and I, when we were standing at the copier machine, like literally, we were standing at the copier machine, we were both talking about exploration. And so we said, well, let's combine that.
Wouldn't it be cool if we could have the kids debate on which crew they thought took the bigger risk?
We came up with the launch. We wanted the students to come into the auditorium not knowing what their day was going to be. They knew that they weren't going to the regular classes that day. So when they came in, Shanna and I, we played it up. We put up the debate question, and I took the side of Lewis and Clark. She took the side of Apollo 11. Who took a bigger risk in the name of science and discovery? Now, I clearly think that it's Lewis and Clark.
I don't think so. I think it's Apollo 11. 2 words. Left Earth.
Your guys were put into a capsule built by other people. My guys had to build everything themselves, or they wouldn't survive.
And my guys had to make sure that the science was correct, and if it wasn't, we would have lost 3 men in the great beyond.
Well, the great beyond, I believe, is past the Mississippi River, up that Missouri River into the unknown territory. That's the great beyond. And Shanna had done a one-day PBL last year and said that was a really successful thing because there was a lot of pressure on the students to get things done in a certain amount of time frame, and that added to what they needed to learn and how to work through all of that. And so I thought, yeah, that sounds great. Let's go with a one-day PBL. So here's your obstacle. There are 17 teams. There are 4 hours, and there will be 1 winner. That is your mission. And then we had them go find their groups. And we built that around their lunch schedule, actually. So they left the auditorium, they met up with their mentor teacher, they got into their groups, and the first thing that they had to do was look at the driving question, look at the task, and then decide their roles as group members.
Team manager, perfect. Who are my content experts? Okay, and then who are my counter argument, and who's my visual aid? Okay.
So some of the roles that we had, once we got them into those initial groups, we had the task manager who would pull everything together because you would have students going in all different directions. And some of those roles would be they could have 1 or 2 people working on visual aids. They could have 1 or 2 people working on becoming the content experts for their side of the argument. They would also have to have 1 or 2 people being the content experts for the counter argument. And then, of course, you would have your chief spokesperson. That person that they knew that they would take the lead in writing the speech, presenting the speech, and even helping direct what that would look like ultimately on the stage.
I think this PBL and the way that we structured it, being 4 hours to really get to know your side of the debate, they were able to come in right away, pick their role, and go.
So essentially about 3.5 to 4 hours to work on this. And that pressure deadline really pushed them along.
And also making it a competition. We've noticed that if you make a competition out of it, kids tend to rise above that level that you were thinking that they're going to go.
Within that, we had kids pulled out of their groups. So during that time, I had brought in the Lewis and Clark experts from the Lewis and Clark Society, and it was just a community member that loved telling stories and knew Lewis and Clark really well.
I have had a long time interest since your age of Lewis and Clark, and it's a great expedition, a great part of our history, and the reason it's so great and so interesting is because we know so much about it.
So I had the content experts for Lewis and Clark go meet with him during second hour and just work with him, gathering information, you know, really getting that knowledgeable experience that he has and that background. Meanwhile, we had the chief spokesperson in each group go meet with Allison Johnson, who is our instructional coach, and she guided them through, this is the kind of public speaking that we're looking for, hand gestures, where should you stand on the stage. She gave them direction so they could come back to the group and give them direction.
And they were asking me, well, scientifically, how does this work? Or mathematically, how does this work? And as a science teacher, that warmed my heart, and especially the girls who took leadership roles right away and led their groups in critical thinking.
So then they all go to lunch, and then after lunch they had some time to prepare. And this is the time that the auditions began. So auditions began in earnest right at the beginning of fifth hour. And each group was given 15 minutes, grand total 15 minutes to audition. And they auditioned in front of all the mentors that we had. But they didn't audition in front of the mentor that they had. So they had to audition in front of somebody who hadn't seen or worked with them. And then we scored them on the rubric. So not only did it serve as an audition to be a part of the final product, but it also allowed us to grade all of the students and hold them accountable for the day. So of those 9 Lewis and Clark groups, whoever got the top score got to move on, and of the Apollo 11 groups, top score would move on. Students didn't know who got those scores until they entered the auditorium at the beginning of sixth hour. We had 3 teams that were extremely close in score, and but we had one that had merged as the winner. Should I read what team for Lewis and Clark? Okay, and then you'll read. So team number 8 for Lewis and Clark.
We also had 3 teams that were very close, so it was a very hard decision. But our team that's going up is also team 8.
These are the 2 teams that had the best arguments, the best presentations. They're now going to go head-to-head right here on this stage to battle it out, so that our administrative staff, our assistant principals, they came in and they were the ultimate judges of who did take a bigger risk.
So the group that won in this argument is Lewis and Clark. Give it up.
When people are thinking about doing PBLs, I think it's easy classroom management, it's easy engagement, because kids want to do it. They aren't dragging their feet, they aren't rolling their eyes. They're like, let's go, this is awesome.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for
Bell Middle School.
This is Houston, Roger.